Hello, all of you. We are starting today with capital and revenue expenditure. This is chapter 1, unit 4. Okay, very important chapter and very easy because once you can distinguish and you can decide whether this is a capital expenditure or a revenue expenditure or a capital receipt or a revenue receipt, then you can pass the journal entry accordingly. It will get posted in proper ledger and the presentation of the accounts would be correct. Okay, that is the importance in accounting. And practical importance is this topic is asked usually in question number 1. True and false are there, 6 true and false for 2 marks each. There they are asking you this capital and revenue. Decide and write the reasoning. Okay. So now, first let us understand the meaning and then we will practice this. Okay. Any doubts you have, please keep sharing your doubts here. And once again, I'm giving the instruction later if I miss out that we are going to use the same ID every day. Okay. This material is there with all of you, right? I've put it in mail. Right now, you can refer it from here. So first of all, we know what is expenditure. Expenditure kya hai? It is outlay of money. Money is going out. But now we know that expenditure is to be debited. But if it is a capital expenditure, you will treat it as your asset. If it is revenue expenditure, it will go on to the P&L account. Okay? Right. So now, how do you decide whether an expenditure is a capital expenditure or revenue? I don't want to talk about deferred, isko baad mein dekhenge. Now, the feature of the capital expenditure is it brings into existence an asset. You are buying machinery for business, you are buying building for business, you are buying a four-wheeler for delivery of your goods. So some asset is coming in, it's a capital expenditure. Okay? Listen to the explanation carefully. One problem we will do together. The next problem sitting in the class from screen you have to do on your own. So keep your practice notebook, your routine problem solving notebook ready. Booster notes में क्या लिखना है? I'll tell you. ठीक है? So, if you acquire an asset, it's a capital expenditure. To acquire or bring, expenditure is incurred to acquire or bring into existence advantage or benefit of enduring nature. You know, some expenditure you have done wherein the benefit is for long term or to increase the productivity or the earning capacity. How do you increase the production? Buy more spaces, set up new machinery, add on more of the capital items, matlab or showroom kholo or shops kholo, so you will increase the productivity, more production, more earning. You want to open up more branches. Now, when you want to open up more branches, you need to purchase more building, more furniture. Okay, so capital expenditure. It is the expenditure for long period, and here it is not given. But one thing which is discussed in AS 10, property, plant and equipment says, any expenditure is capital expenditure when benefit extends. Benefit extends beyond 1 year. I hope you are getting. When I am buying machinery, I am going to use it for 6-7 years. When I am going to buy building, I will do my business for long run. So any expenditure where the benefit is more than 1 year, asset is coming in, productivity is increasing, that's a capital expenditure. For example, I was taking face-to-face classes. Because of this COVID pandemic and all, I had to purchase the laptop, the camera, the touch screen and all. When I purchased this equipment, it increased my productivity, my earning capacity, and I could take now online classes. So this laptop, this camera is a capital expenditure for me. I hope examples are clear. Now, what is the benefit? Capital expenditure, it is benefit beyond the accounting period, what I made you write. Where is it debited? In the respective asset account, which will appear in balance sheet. Capital expenditure will never go to the P&L account. Okay. Examples are purchase of land, building, furniture. So they all are treated as assets in the balance sheet, and you need to depreciate also. Okay. Right. Next is revenue expenditure. So revenue expenditure is your day-to-day expense. Listen to the meaning first I am explaining. Revenue expenditure is your day-to-day expense through which, you run your business. Like you pay tea, coffee expense. You pay someone monthly salary and he works for you. You pay monthly rent and you occupy the premises for 1 month. So it's like benefit of that expenditure doesn't go beyond the accounting period. आप expense करते हो, you are doing the expense and the benefit is expired within 1 year. Okay. And so many times we do revenue expenditure to maintain the capital asset. Like capital asset, you have purchased four-wheeler, tempo to deliver the goods. But to do that, you need to incur the repairing expense, the petrol expense, the yearly insurance, all that. So many times revenue expenditure are incurred for, what do you say? Revenue expenditures are incurred for maintaining the capital asset also. So what is the definition of revenue expenditure? It is an expenditure which is incurred to maintain the productivity or earning capacity of business, to carry out the operating activities. Okay, right. So benefits are there beyond the current accounting period. Now, accounting period mein where the expenditure will go? Sorry, I want to repeat this point I said wrong. Benefit of this expenditure, revenue expenditure, is within the same year. And this will go in the respective expense account, and from the expense account at the end of the year, it is transferred to the P&L account. So it will get closed in the net profit. Examples of revenue expenditure are depreciation. Purchase of building is a capital expenditure, but charging depreciation on building, repairs on building, insurance on building is a revenue expenditure. See, this concept is very important in your chapter depreciation also. Because depreciation में भी आगे जाके यही होगा. You are purchasing asset. While purchasing, you do add-on expense to bring the asset into present location. That is fine. Softwares and all other expenditures, whatever you do. Once you purchase that, then you have to depreciate that, no? So that depreciate is revenue expenditure. And if you pay annual insurance, 12 months insurance of building, you cannot capitalize that. That gives an assurance that something goes wrong in the 12-month, insurance company will reimburse you. Nothing goes wrong, expire. Wo premium to gaya. Again, you have to pay. So insurance is a revenue expenditure. Rent, repairs, insurance, depreciation, and so on. And it will appear in the P&L account. So if I hope now separately it is clear what is capital expenditure, benefit goes beyond there. What is revenue? Benefit is within the year. Examples and basic definition is capital expenditure is incurred to acquire the asset. Okay. Revenue expenditure is incurred to maintain the asset. So like that is the distinguish. Same. Generally, they are not asking this level, but if they ask, you should know that capital expenditure is, what is the meaning you are bringing into asset. Revenue expenditure is productivity and all. This is normally deals beyond the current period. It is the benefit does not go beyond the year. Revenue expenditure, the benefit expires. This is debited to asset, that is debited to expense account, and at the end it is transferred to P&L, and all other details are given. ठीक है? Right. Deferred revenue expenditure. वो बाद में करेंगे. It is in between now. Okay. Let us solve one question directly, and then again I'll come back and do some theory. कुछ एक question solve करते हैं. Any one of it. Shall we take the first one only? Are you all ready to go with me? Yeah, open your notebooks and it's not a problem to be solved for me figures के साथ. आप लिखो आपकी notebook में question number 1 first bit and whatever I am discussing write the answers with that also. Okay? There's more to explain. थोड़ा और भी करेंगे बाद में. Yeah. First is give whether it is, I told you this topic is usually asked in true and false. Overhauling expense of second-hand machinery or revenue expenditure. Okay. So overhauling expense of second-hand machinery. Now many of you may not be clear ki what is overhauling expense. So overhauling is, you know, like when you get a machinery, that too second-hand machinery. कुछ जैसे हम second-hand car लेते हैं, तो first time we do oiling, fueling, denting, painting. उसको नए के जैसा बनाते हैं. We just make it look new. So you have purchased a second-hand machinery, and first time you have incurred overhauling expense to bring the machinery. Is this a capital expenditure or revenue? You all need to participate. This is the first problem. So I'll be asking and I'll be giving answers, but I would be glad if you can use the chat box. Of course, I know many of you are doing from mobile, so very difficult to type also. At least if you can write C or R, I will be clear. And next question, so you have to solve. I'll give you time and you have to unmute and read out your answer. Okay? So overhauling expense of second-hand machinery. There which expenditure? One second, I'll be back, please. Okay. So first one, overhauling expense. So overhauling expense is, we will do MCQs also for this. If I miss out later, just remind me. So they say whether it is true or false. What is this? It is false. Why it is false? As overhauling expenses are incurred to bring the machinery into working condition. Second-hand machinery ko first time. I'll do one thing. Just wait 2 minutes. I'll also open my notebook. और एक एक का reason साथ में लिखेंगे. I hope you all are understanding the class. If you can respond no, it will be very nice. At least see for clear or something if you can type and send me. Okay. चलो open your notebooks. Because this is your first problem ना, तो हम एक अगर अच्छे से reason लिखेंगे तो it will be clear for all of you. Problem number 1A. A bit or first bit, whatever you want to write. One second. Okay. Write down the heading, please, all of you. Capital and revenue expenditure. Capital and revenue receipts भी करेंगे. They are very important for accounts and income tax. Especially income tax में आप पढ़ोगे business head करके आगे जाके. So for that it is very important. So right now capital and revenue expenditure we are doing problem number. Shall we write something in brief as I have written? Just make this flow chart. ऐसे बनाओ. मेरे साथ बनाओ. Expenditure. Expenditure is out of pocket cost. You know, money is going out of the pocket generally. You can say, ma'am, then depreciation, agreed, it's a non-cash expenditure. Next, we have capital expenditure. This side we will write revenue expenditure. Now, what is the specialty of capital expenditure? You write this because the language, your pen should flow when they ask you true and false with reasoning. Is my speed fine? Are you able to write? You can unmute and say also. Benefit goes beyond 1 year. Capital expenditure. Benefit is going beyond 1 year. Revenue expenditure. Less than equal to 1 year. I'm paying salary to you, you are working. I'm paying rent to him, he is giving me premises to use. 1 साल के अंदर. Asset is coming in. Acquired. You know, some asset is acquired generally when you do capital expenditure. Expenses are incurred. Revenue expense means expenses are incurred and transferred to P&L account. P&L account. Write down. Revenue expenditure are incurred throughout the year and they are transferred to P&L account. Here asset is coming in, shown in balance sheet. Balance sheet में दिखाते हैं. Okay, right. Now you will solve question number 1 with me. Problem number 1. So first answer is false. Overhauling expenditure is not a revenue expenditure. Reasoning लिखो मेरे साथ. Write down all of you. Overhauling expenditure are incurred. Overhauling expenditure are incurred to bring second-hand machinery in working condition. Why do you incur denting, painting? क्योंकि second hand है ना. So you are incurring overhauling expense to bring the second-hand machinery in working condition. Benefit of which is beyond 1 year. Benefit of which is beyond 1 year. So it should be capitalized in books, added to the cost of the second-hand machinery. So it should be capitalized in books. All clear to all of you? I'll solve one problem, then I'll explain you some more. Capital receipts, revenue receipts. All clear? ठीक है? Finish writing with me or still writing? Overhauling expenditure are incurred to bring second-hand machinery in the working condition, benefit of which will expire in, go on beyond 1 year. So it should be capitalized in the books because long-term benefit, no? Okay. Next. Shall we all go to the next one? Money spent to, okay, next one I have to read it for all of you, no? Yeah. What happened? Money spent to reduce the working expense. You know, you have spent the money so that your day-to-day expense is reduced. I'll give you an example for this. Suppose you have a four-wheeler which works on petrol. Now you have changed a major part by spending 18-20,000 and converted the petrol vehicle into diesel. So what will happen? It will reduce your working expenditure. Your day-to-day cost will be reduced. So if you have incurred any expenditure wherein your day-to-day cost is reduced, then what you will do? If your day-to-day cost is reduced, then what you will do? It is a capital expenditure. I hope you all are able to understand. You are buying 18-20,000 machinery or some part because of which you have converted petrol vehicle into diesel. And now your day-to-day working expense of petrol diesel is reduced, no? So that money spent to reduce the working expense. Is it a revenue expense? Answer is false. Write down. Answer is false. Aram se karo. Purposely I am making you write because once if you get the habit of writing, no, it will be clear. False. Money spent to reduce, you know, money spent to reduce working expense. Money spent to reduce the working expense is capital expenditure, as benefit is beyond 1 year. As benefit is beyond 1 year. ठीक है? Once you do a major expense, it will reduce your day-to-day cost, but that will be like treated as a part of the asset, no? It will be treated as asset. So I hope the second one is clear that it's a capital expenditure. I'm writing here also, CC. Legal fees acquired to acquire the property. Is it a capital expenditure? What is answer? True or false? Answer is true. Before I purchase a building, you know, I give the building papers to my advocate to verify ki naam to barabar hai. They will give a paper ad that someone else is not the holder and everything is correct or not. So whatever legal fees you are in, actually legal fees is a revenue expense. But this time legal fees I am incurring to acquire a property. So this is which expenditure? Capital expenditure. Okay? Problem number 1, 3's answer. We will write it. You know, one nice example I can say. Normally you pay wages to your employee. So revenue expense. But if you pay wages to employee to bring an asset in the present location, then capital expenditure. Are you getting? Agar aapne, you have paid them wages that, okay, you unload this building and get it here, then it's a capital. So same way, this is the answer you have to write that this is true. What is the question they are saying? Legal fees acquired to acquire a property. Is it a capital expenditure? Answer is true. True. Legal fees paid to acquire property. Legal fees paid to acquire the property is part of cost of that property. Legal fees which is paid to acquire the property is a part of the cost of the property. Property का हिस्सा हो जाएगा legal expense. So many times we incur traveling expense and we go to Burma, London, China to purchase the fixed assets. So traveling expenses incurred to purchase the fixed assets, their capital, they'll become the part of the cost of the property. Okay. Hence, it is capital expenditure. And it's true. It's a capital expenditure. बिल्कुल सही है. Next. Okay. Do as slowly as you want. This is your first problem. Amount, fourth one. Capital expenditure है, ये भी capital है. Amount spent on lawyers' fees to defend a suit claiming that company's factory site belonged to the plaintiff's land. Is it a capital expenditure? Is a capital expenditure. True or false? False. You are not purchasing a property. Already you have a factory site. Amount spent as lawyers' fees to defend a suit claiming that firm's factory site belonged to plaintiff's land. Just you are fighting something legal fight that this property is already ours and it is ours, you know, someone has claimed. So it is your routine revenue expense. Legal expenses are incurred in company. This is not the first time expense to purchase the factory site. Factory site is already yours, but someone else is putting a case to defend that you are giving fees, legal fees to your advocate and he is fighting. This is a revenue expenditure. Okay? Right. This will just maintain the asset. So expenditure incurred for maintaining existing asset, it is a revenue expenditure. Fourth one. Fourth one. It is false. Fourth one is false. They said it's a capital expenditure. No, it's not a capital expenditure. Legal expenses are helping to maintain the building. You know, legal expenses are helping to maintain the asset, that is building. Hence, it is revenue expenditure. ठीक है? Next. It's very interesting. Once you get a grip, I'm very slow to give you a grip. This is the revenue. Now, amount spent for replacement of the worn out machine. Is it a capital expenditure? Answer is, it is just the replacement of a worn out asset. Worn out part of the machine. Okay. So this is a revenue expenditure, right? You are spending the amount of not for purchase of machine, but some part of the machine you are replacing. I'll give an example for this. For example, you have a four-wheeler. Now that four-wheeler is going on fine, but something happened wrong for the tires. So you're just changing the tires and all. But kabhi kabhi kya hota hai, tires are very costly and they have a very long life. So you may capitalize in between. But this is just replacing a worn out part. Some spare parts, some liner, some machinery's part, some bearing you have changed. So replacement is not doing any value addition. Okay, it's just a small part. So it's a revenue expenditure. So they say it's a capital expenditure. Answer will be false. Okay. It is just a maintenance cost. Write down. Fifth one. Replacement of part of machine. No? Replacement of the part of the machine is revenue expenditure. Replacement of the part of the machine is revenue expenditure, as it is just a maintenance cost. No? You're just maintaining the asset with that. Maintenance cost. Fifth one. Oh, sorry, I closed it early. Finish writing if you're writing. You're just replacing a part. Is it very interesting or not? Chalo, next now. आगे करते हैं. Sixth one. Expenditure incurred on replacement and whitewashing for the first time on purchase of old building. This is exactly like the first one. Is revenue expenditure. False. It's a capital expenditure because you are purchasing the building for the first time and you are doing routine repairs. See, when you have building machinery, koi bhi asset hai, laptop, you need to put antivirus. So routine repairing expenditure are revenue expenditure. But this is the first time you are doing repairing, overlighting, whitewashing, painting for a older building which you have purchased. So this is very well a capital expenditure because once you make it look new, it is like first time. So all the expenditure incurred till the building is put to use is capitalized. That words you have to write. I hope the meaning is clear. Ma'am, repairs, dekh ke students are writing revenue. It's not revenue expense. Routine repairs are revenue. This is the repairs, whitewashing on the purchase of old building. Okay. So this is done for the first time. So it is to be capitalized. Karo. Sixth one. Sixth one. False. Repairing and whitewashing expense incurred for first time are to be capitalized as expense, are to be listen and write. If you are not following my writing, agreed is not very good. So students have given me this feedback, ma'am, it's good, no problem. And the writing is not good, but it is good for us. We are focused क्योंकि बाद में दीप्ति मैम बोर्ड भर लेंगे तो हम कुछ लिख नहीं पाएंगे. So you listen and write. Repairing and whitewashing expense incurred for the first time are to be capitalized. Are to be capitalized as expenditure. Incurred before asset is ready to put to use. Before the asset is ready to put to use. Okay? So they are capital expenditure and not revenue. You have incurred whitewashing and painting, denting for the first time before you take the possession of the building. Finished writing this? Chalo. 6th ke baad, next one. Yes, some of you may have done it in the 12th and also they may be feeling my speed is slow, but this is only for the concept. आप देखो आगे हम अच्छे से करेंगे अगर आपको समझ में आए. So this is a capital expenditure. Expenditure in connection with obtaining a license for running the cinema is a capital expenditure. Very true. Very true. Answer is true. You know, cinemas and all, they need license for showing the motion pictures and all. And these licenses are given for 8 to 10 years. So they are very well a capital expenditure. Okay? 7th one. So it's 2. 7th one answer is 2. They said it's a capital expenditure and actually it's a capital expenditure. True. True or false पहले लिखना एग्जाम में, underline करना, then write the narration. Without license, cinema hall cannot start their operation. Without license, cinema hall cannot start. And license expenditure are amortized. Generally, license expenditure are amortized generally for 8-10 years, 8 to 10 years. Hence, they are capital expenditure. Without license, cinema hall cannot start and license expenditure are amortized generally for 8 to 10 years. Hence, they are capital expenditure. It's a capital expenditure without license. Yeah. I got your doubt. Some of you may be feeling, ma'am, can we treat it as a deferred expense? Now let me introduce deferred expense is a revenue expense only, but the benefit of which goes beyond 1 or 2 years, like heavy advertisement promotion. You have entered into 3 years agreement with Sony TV. 3 years IPL may they will show your ad first after every wicket. So this is the benefit which goes beyond year. It's treated as deferred, but it's nearby 2-3 years, not like this. License is a capital expenditure for cinema hall. It's like patent, copyright. It's an intangible asset, AS 26. And nowadays in the companies are clearly they are saying don't take anything as deferred. Either you write it off or you capitalize. I hope it is clear. So deferred has practically the value of deferred expenses reduced. It's just a bookish term. Last one. Amount spent for construction of temporary huts. Okay. Which are necessary for construction of cinema house. And then later they are demolished. Is a capital expenditure. True. Have you observed wherever construction is going on, they incur a temporary shade and one person watchman like he's staying there, he does all the watering work and looks after all the construction. Once the building is ready and parking lot and all you have to make, then that is demolished. So making that temporary structure to do the proper watering, nowadays plastic are put up, the wooden, bamboo pillars are put up so that you can climb up, do all the, so these are the temporary structures which are going to be demolished once the building is ready. But will you capitalize or is it your revenue expenditure capitalized? This, why you are doing this temporary expenditure for the purpose? See, dear students, you may be feeling, ma'am, बहुत explanation or analysis correct. But the more you spend time for this, open up like this. Final exam, Dipti ma'am is not going to stand besides you. You should be able to analyze it interpret it in the exam. That's why I'm supporting with so much explanation. Chalo. So amount spent for the construction of temporary huts which were necessary for construction of cinema hall and were demolished when cinema house is ready is a capital expenditure. Very true. Eighth answer is very true. Chalo, likhte hain isko last one and then we will go to. I hope you all are comfortable. Many students tell me, ma'am, if I write true, false, will I get half marks? No, please. In CA exam, question number 1, 6 into 2 true and false are given. Out of that, at least 3 true and false are from this beautiful small topic. So ये chapter का weighted 6 marks है, बहुत easy है. So if you just write true and false, they will not even give you half and 1 mark because it's true and false without reasoning. So answer is true. Cost of temporary huts. Cost of temporary huts is necessary. Cost of temporary huts is necessary for the construction of the cinema. It is necessary for the construction of the cinema. Hence, it is to be capitalized in books. It is to be capitalized in the books. Because without this, you cannot do. Cost of temporary huts is necessary. Finish writing all the answers. Shall I scroll up the screen? Check if everything is clear or not. Okay. So this is how you have to attempt the capital and revenue expenditure. Like that, we have now capital and revenue receipts also. Look here, we'll go up and do some theory now. We are finished with expenditure. Now capital and revenue receipts. So what is this, you know? ये भी पढ़ते हैं एक बार. What are the factors which will, theory question, mark करो, आपके notebook में लिख दो. What are the factors which will help you to decide whether it is capital and revenue? Listen, for me, for teaching purpose, laptop is my capital expenditure. I will use laptop for 5 to 6 years. I'm not buying laptop to sell. But if you're going to a client who is having laptop showroom, for him, laptop is not a capital expenditure. It's just a routine goods. Laptop buying, selling is his business. For a furniture wala, furniture is like stock. But for me, purchasing furniture for my institute, for my coaching, it's a capital expenditure. So very important is to decide whether an expenditure is revenue or capital. It depends upon the nature of the business. Next is recurring nature of expenditure. If an expenditure is incurred every month and all, telephone, rent, salary, it's a routine expenditure. And capital expenditure are generally incurred non-recurring. Once in 5 years, 6 years, you know, you don't buy fixed assets every day. You buy fixed assets and use it for 5-6 years. Again, you buy new one, use it. So recurring hai to revenue, non-recurring hai to capital. Purpose of expenditure, beautiful, most important. If you are doing routine repairs of the building, put the repairs as revenue expenditure. If you are doing repairs of the building for the first time before you purchase, same repairs, capital. So what is the purpose of the expense? So very much important. Once again, अगर if you are paying wages for your day-to-day work to your workers, put it as revenue expenditure, charge off in P&L. But if you are paying wages to your worker to install a plant and machinery, capitalize. So, you cannot judge, ma'am, this expense is revenue, this. Same expense could be revenue and capital depending on the situation. So, purpose of expenditure is important. If repairs is incurred normal, charge off as expense. If it is incurred for asset, capitalize. Effect on revenue generating capacity of the business. If you are doing a huge expense which will increase your income, then capitalize. If expenditure helps to generate revenue for more than 1 year, capitalize it. Got it? So like working आप ऐसे expenditure कर रहे हो या day to day expense कम हो गया या income बढ़ जाएगी. Now you have opened a second showroom in Kukatpally, the third in the KPHP, like that. So this expenditure which you have incurred to open up more branches, that will just increase your income. So capitalize. So this is a list. Now this is for you to read at home and come with your doubts. I'll just introduce some of them, like cost of the machinery, capital, because asset is coming in. Freight on the machine, capitalize. All the expense incurred till you bring the machinery into asset, capitalize. Custom duty, capitalize. Wages, installation expense, all capitalize. Expenditure incurred for to purchase. Machine खरीदने के लिए you have visited 2-3 cities and you have done a touring. It's a capital expenditure. Purchase second-hand machinery, capital. Do repairs for the second-hand machinery, capital. Interest incurred till the machinery started operating, capital. This you will study in depth in the later classes, AS 16. You purchase a machinery or you are making a building. Now till the building is prepared, you have taken loan from a bank to make this building. Whatever interest meter is going on, add it to the cost of the building till the building is ready. Once the building is ready and commercially the possession starts, still if you are paying interest, charge it off to your P&L account. Am I going fast in explanation or clear? Okay, no problem. Right. This is very, don't just do it कि मैम ये तो ज़्यादा important नहीं है, इसको छोड़, इसको base है to do many other chapters also. Okay. Repairs of the machine after the machine is put to use, now revenue. The first repairs you have incurred now, that is trial run and all के पहले to capitalize. If you read now, you will get an idea. Just you have incurred, amount spent for worn out some spare parts and all, revenue. Amount spent to reduce, ये एग्जाम में बहुत आता है 15th वाला. Amount spent to reduce the working expense, capitalize. Okay. Cost of rings and pistons and all, change for fuel efficiency, capitalize. Now what are these? Rings, pistons and all, if they are major expenditure, जिससे आपका day-to-day fuel कम होगा, power consumption to capitalize. So many people, they put a power saving device in their company. So if they put that device of 10,000, their current bill will reduce, day-to-day expense. But putting up that power device is a capital expenditure? Yes. Legal expenditure incurred to acquire a building, capital. So if you just read it at home, you will get a grip on this. Inaugural expense. When you start a new business, just whatever inaugural expense, put it in revenue because they are not enhancing the value. They are just first time, ठीक है, welcome करो, but you charge off inaugural expense in the revenue expenditure. ठीक है? Purchase of intangible asset, goodwill, patent, copyright, सब capitalize. Can we now classify capital receipts? Capital receipts refer to receipts which are not revenue, matlab every day you are not getting. Like proprietor is bringing money in the business, capital receipt. It will be credited in the capital account. Instead of bringing cash, proprietor is bringing furniture. आप क्या करते हो? Furniture debit, capital account credit. So this is a capital receipt for the firm. So capital receipts doesn't happen on and off. Like sale of land and building, getting a loan, loan के पैसे जब आते हैं, it's a capital receipt. Bank account debit to vehicle loan. So this vehicle loan is a capital receipt. What is your revenue receipt? Day-to-day income. Day-to-day receipts. Okay? Right? So that's a revenue receipt. Can we distinguish between capital and revenue receipt like we have done distinguish between capital and revenue expenditure? Yes. Capital receipts refer to those receipts which are not revenue. They refer to same. They are credited to the capital accounts. They are credited to revenue account, and some examples you can give. If you read and come this list, it will be very clear. Like capital introduced is a capital receipt. Loan raised is a capital receipt. But if you have received interest on investment, it's your routine receipt. That interest is income only for this year. Next year again you will get interest. Sale of the goods, it's a revenue receipt. Like that. Okay. So what we will do is, you have any doubts, then ask. Otherwise, I'm giving you homework. This PDF is already sent to you. Now, you at home, you read each and every example. Ma'am, I followed in the capital revenue receipts. Deferred, I will explain tomorrow in the next class. All this 17, ma'am, 10th example is not clear. मुझे पूछो कल आने के बाद. Okay? So you read all the theory and you do as homework. Problem number 2. Write true and false with reasoning. I will discuss it. If you want, you can say, ma'am, problem number 2 answers I will read. Even if you are wrong, it's okay. You have come to learn here. यहाँ तो भर के mistake करना. If you do mistakes here, you will not do mistake in final exam. So problem number 2 is homework and problem number 4 is homework. 4 examples here, 5 examples here. Most of the answers you will get it above. But capital A revenue hai. Then same thing, if they twist and give in the form of true and false, you will be able to do it. So read the material. Second and fourth problem is homework. I will start the next class by explaining you what is deferred revenue expenditure, and we will discuss homework in the class, and I'll give you to do one problem in the class also. From now onwards starts your participation. I will give you one journal entry problem as homework after teaching for 2 days. You read out the answer. Ma'am, I did first, second, third, I didn't get. Okay. Fourth, you did it wrong. Okay. करके तो आओ, पेन तो चलाओ, हाफ पेज वेस्ट तो करो अपना नोटबुक का. I don't want neat notebooks, head से हिला हिला के पूरा मैं क्लास में करूँ and पूरा you are copying. No, please. I want scratched notebooks. The more you scratch in your book and struggle and then get the things right, you will not do any mistake in the final exam. Is this clear to all of you? Anyone is having any doubt? Ask. Yes? Read all the exam. Agreed, some terms are also new now. What is pistons and all? What is overhauling? What is replacement of a worn out? So those terms also you read it. If you are facing any trouble anywhere, yes, you can ask me, no problem. That's all for today. Thank you so much. We have started with unit 4 of chapter 1 and we are going to continue tomorrow. Bye-bye.